Hi and welcome to my booktube channel. My name is Sam and today I want to talk about a comic that I finished yesterday as I'm filming this video because I thoroughly enjoyed it and I want to share my thoughts with you. This video is going to be broken up into a non-spoilery section and a spoilery section, and they'll be time-stamped below so you can click off if you don't want spoilers. But I'm going to be talking about Invincible. This is Compendium 1. If you don't know what a compendium is, basically it's when a run of comics are all collected into one big book. And now there are 3 main compendiums for Invincible plus a bonus one for one of the side characters. So I was very excited that there was so much content to get into because this is written by Robert Kirkman, who wrote The Walking Dead. Now if you're new to this channel, I am Walking Dead obsessed. I specifically love the show, but I really like the comics as well. So when I saw Robert Kirkman had another series, I was like, I need to dive straight into this and hopefully enjoy it just as much. But we also have art and story by Corey Walker and Ryan Otley, to name them as well. Now I definitely recommend this book, and I would definitely recommend it in the compendium form as well, because oftentimes I don't know, it might just be comics in general, but often they can feel quite short. So when you just read one, it kind of feels unsatisfying. But when you have like a giant chunk where you can dip in and out and read as much as you want or as little as you want, that makes it a more pleasurable experience. So I definitely recommend the compendium. Even though it is a more pricey option when you're buying comics, I definitely recommend it for this. Now, if you don't know, Invincible follows the son of a Superman-esque superhero called Omni-Man, and this son is called Mark Grayson, and he is just your average teenage boy trying to live life until his powers come in. His powers inherited from his father come in, and we kind of see him have to deal with the ramifications of these powers. Does he become a hero? How does he become a hero? How does this affect his relationships with his friends, his family, his lovers? Like, how does this superhero aspect, this is killing my hand, affect his life? And that's the story. I can't really say more for spoiler reasons, but this, I will say, this universe is very much akin to The Boys. Now, if you don't know The Boys, I can't help you there, but this felt very much like The Boys, right? It's kind of a satirical take on the superheroes, but it explores the superhero genre in a more nuanced and realistic way. It places the superhero and the idea of superpowers within a realistic world and kind of sees how that would actually play out. So within The Boys, you kind of have a grotesque exploration of that. There's a lot of gore, a lot of violence within that, and that's how they take on the superhero, whereas this one I feel is a bit more toned down from that one, so don't worry, there's not too many bloody scenes in this one, but it doesn't hold back from showing the true extent that these powers can have on people. And yeah, it kind of takes more of a focus on superheroes rather than the people superheroes affect within this one. So they're kind of two ends of the same spectrum, but they both kind of introspect on superhero characters better than kind of Marvel and DC do. So I think it is a fun, nuanced way, and often you'll see within the story there'll be kind of nods to superhero tropes, and it'll often subvert them. So you'll have like villain monologues that are cut what's the word I'm trying to think? Cut short. Villain monologues that are cut short. You'll get characters that build themselves really up and then they end up being rubbish. You'll have satirical takes on Marvel characters specifically that I noticed. So, DC as well. You've got the obvious Omni-Man is Superman kind of esque. But you also have the Immortal, who I felt was very much like a Wolverine character. You had a guy that can shrink, who's very much like Ant-Man. And yeah, it's kind of that satirical take on superheroes that we've already established. So I think overall I would rate this one 5 stars for enjoyment. I really enjoyed my time reading this one. I enjoyed being able to dip in and out, and I enjoyed kind of the fluctuating stakes. This thing, we have multiple main villains who kind of come in and out of the story. So sometimes you'll have a street level fight, sometimes you'll have a major arc, but you'll have like those major fluctuations within the story, and I think it made it flow so well because you'd have all the build up and then a big thing, and then you'd follow on from that and build up on how that affected, but then it leads into something else. I really enjoyed that aspect of this series as well. Yeah, non-spoilery thoughts. I enjoyed the characters. I particularly enjoy Mark Grayson. I feel like he is a very interesting character with his relationship with his mum and his dad. Specifically, that whole family unit is very interesting with what happens within the kind of start of this compendium. Specifically, if you know, you know. I really like his relationships with Atomic Eve and the other superheroes he is around. I like how he kind of is more of a lone ranger but isn't scared to work with the team. It's really hard to think of non-spoilery things to say because major revelations happen immediately, so I can't even just go slightly in. But yeah, I think overall I enjoyed this one. 5 stars for enjoyment, like I said. Also, this compendium, if you wanted to know, is fully coloured, which often comic series are black and white because it's expensive to print in colour. But this one is fully coloured, and that was really cool as well because you get to see all the colours of the superhero capes in the world, and it really brings it to life. It's very vivid and very fun. And then I meant to say 4 stars for story. Now, I split my rating for 5 stars for enjoyment, 4 stars for story, because there were some instances within the writing. I don't know whether it was the time period this was written. Maybe it was written a few years ago. I'm not quite 100% sure. But there were some instances of where the main characters would interact. It'd be 2 men interacting. Mark Grayson would be like lifting his friend up, and his friend would go, "This is kind of gay." And I was like, not really necessary, and it was very apparent every time it happened. Maybe that was for me, but I just picked up on it every time it happened. I was like, is that really necessary? That didn't need to be said, because it implies gay as a negative many of the times as well. So it's kind of like, what are you trying to say, Robert? What are you trying to say? You do not like gays? Allegedly. But yeah, I'm sure it was just a thing when this was written. I understand, and also the main character is a teenage boy, so maybe that's just how they talk. But yeah, it just kind of made me uncomfortable sometimes when it was just like, this is kind of gay, and I was like, is it though? You're just carrying someone, like, chill out. It's not gay to touch another man. Okay. But yeah, that was the only reason I knocked it down. So also some of the kind of plot lines kind of didn't fully feel realized as well. But I think overall a lot of them were great. So 4 stars. I only knocked it down for that kind of gay stuff, for the gay comments, and the kind of lackluster storylines that were sprinkled in a little bit. But yeah, overall, thoroughly enjoyed it. Definitely recommend it. Let's get into spoilers. Okay, I'm not going to hold up the compendium because it's too heavy and it's hurting my hands, but I'll put up pictures maybe when I'm talking about things. But yeah, let's get into some spoilers. So my spoiler thoughts very much revolve around the major story arcs of this book. I thought the first instance of kind of that shock of Omni-Man killing the entirety of the Guardians of the Globe, which are basically the Justice League, that whole reveal that he was actually evil was like, oh my god, that's so cool. And I think that is initially what draws people into this comic series, because it's just so unexpected, because you get that whole build-up of the team, and you get all these kind of introductions to people, and the Aquaman one, the fish dude, and he's just like, oh, something's happening, and he goes, and it's like 1 page long, where the other ones had their whole little fight and stuff, and it's like, oh, finally something's happening. I found that hilarious. But yeah, they all get this build-up, and then they all get together, and then they die, and it's like, oh my god, who killed them? And then it's Omni-Man covered in blood, and I thought that was absolutely brilliant. I know that's probably going to be a major talking point for most of the comic books, and a lot of people are going to say that's great, but yeah, I agree, it's really good. But yeah, I really like the Armstrong-Levy parallels with that, where Mark ended up in a similar situation to his father. Also, obviously the kind of the circumstances were different there, but it's Mark's first kill where he actually brutally beats someone to death, and I was just not expecting that from Mark specifically. And to see that kind of parallel between him and his father with that action at the start and now Armstrong-Levy was so cool. And also Armstrong-Levy, I found a really interesting character. I really like the build up to him, where we kind of see him sprinkled in and out, and he's originally in a world where Mark did turn evil with Omni-Man, because obviously Omni-Man offers Mark, is like, hey, join me, take over the Earth with me, and Mark's like, no. But in Armstrong-Levy's original universe, Mark did that, and I really like that kind of, ooh, what would happen if Mark was evil? But yeah, I really enjoyed the Armstrong-Levy build-up, where he was bringing all his duplicates together from across the multiverse, and he wanted to kind of combine their memory into him so that he could more accurately kind of travel the multiverse. I found that so cool, and I wish we'd seen a bit more variation between the multiverses. But we did see that when he fought Mark, and he kind of keeps sending Mark to different parallel universes, and the talking dinosaurs, we need them back. Like, those talking dinosaurs, I need to know what's going on in that universe. But yeah, I really enjoyed that one. We obviously had the Batman direct nod to Batman there as well, with him like, oh, you're a orphan rich dude dressed as a bat. I think you have problems. And there's the Spider-Man one. I don't know if you caught that as well, but there's like a web attached to the back of him after he kind of crashes into a Dr. Octopus-esque character, and then he comes back through the portal and he's got a web attached to him. I saw that Spider-Man reference. But yeah, the whole multiverse storyline is what I'm trying to say. It was really interesting within this, and I'm glad it wasn't like the entirety Marvel. I'm glad it wasn't the entirety of the story. It was kind of this just chapter within Mark's life with this multiversal villain, and that's kind of contained, and it's not the entire thing, Marvel. But yeah, Armstrong Levy, the whole thing with Armstrong Levy was so fun, and with Mark getting trapped in a parallel universe and the future Guardians of the Globe coming in, and then you kind of have that hint to Max being within the robot, and then later on you find out robot is actually this deformed baby man who then becomes a clone of Max to kind of get a human body again properly that's not allergic to everything else. I thought that was a really interesting thing, because robot takes off his head and he's like, wait, Max is robot, but Max isn't, and it's not even Max, it was just he looked like Max's. It was very funny. And Atomic Eve telling him her feelings as well. I was like, oh, because Atomic Eve and Mark were very much like, oh, these two are going to be the main love interest. And then when that doesn't happen and he gets with Amber, it felt very much like when Spider-Man gets with like gets with Gwen rather than MJ. So I kind of expected him to break up with Amber, but I also kind of hoped that he didn't, because I don't know, it just felt so obvious to have him and Atomic Eve together. So I think we're going forward with those two going to be together, so I hope that's kind of subverted or explored within a nuanced way and they aren't endgame, because if they are like the final coupling of those two, I'd kind of be disappointed, I won't lie. Not that I don't like Atomic Eve, I actually really enjoyed Atomic Eve and I can't wait to read her kind of compendium as well. I really love her powers. Her power to kind of rearrange atoms. As she's just like, she's so cool. She's like, yeah, this is easy. I just summatomically change a glass of water into an apple. It's easy, guys. What are you on about? On the bit where she's a baby and it's like talking about her backstory, and they're like, the parents are trying to get Eve to say apple, but she's saying the chemical formulation of an apple, but they don't understand what she's on about. They think she just can't say apple. That was so cute. She's like CH or whatever, and they're like, no, apple, and she's like saying the atomic structure, and that was so cute. Spoilery thoughts are just me rambling about random aspects. I'm so sorry. But yeah, the Armstrong Levy I really enjoyed. The Omni-Man stuff I really enjoyed. I really enjoyed the squid stuff in Mars as well. That was so unexpected. I wasn't really expecting that within a superhero comic, but basically we have these squids that that are enslaved initially by these Martians, but then they get a host and it's kind of like the mind control and they become a hive mind and they're like, we're gonna go to Earth, and we have to kind of start them. That whole section was so cool, and I really hope that comes back, because it ends with the astronaut and he had squids inside of him, and it was kind of like an escape pod almost for them. There's like their trick. They're like, oh yeah, you can save the astronaut, and then they plant themselves within the astronaut and they kind of take over him again when they go back to Earth. I really hope we see more of that and that's not the end of that story, because I think it would be really cool to kind of see an invasion of Earth within these hive mind squids. And I think it'd be a very good opportunity as well to maybe subvert the hive mind trope of like killing the main hive mind stops everyone. I think it could subvert that. Maybe it's like you can kill the hive mind, but anyone they have control of dies as well. I think that would be a really cool way to go about it. I don't know if that's the way they're going to go, but I want something nuanced like that. But yeah, I really enjoyed the squid stuff and the stuff with them all in space, and it was like there was just so many squids, and they had to protect Robot because he had to leave his suit to kind of make a pulse to distract them all. And it's like this battle. We gotta keep Robot safe. We gotta keep him safe. And then you've got the good Martian that we became friends with. I think his name was Shape Smith. And he's like wrapped around him like Mr. Fantastic. And I just love that whole arc. The major arcs I just loved so much. I thought they were all brilliant. But yeah, what was I gonna say? The names of some of the characters as well. Like you have Duplicate. So it's like duplet and then KIT. I don't need to explain that, you know. Or what was her brother called? Multi-Paul. Multi-ball. I love that so much. And that some of the names are just so funny when they play on that. What was another example? Shape Smith obviously was one. Shape Shift, but Shape Smith. I just really enjoyed those moments where it was revealed that a name was like that. But yeah, other spoilery thoughts. Yeah, I think I've said everything I want to say. I don't want this video to go on forever, but those are some of my highlights that I really enjoyed. The ending as well. Oh my god, where we have that. No, because because the government angel Cecile, is he just gonna be evil? Like, he gave me evil vibes as soon as, like, early on when he was interacting with Mark's mom. I was kind of like, you're just using taxpayer money to teleport around. That's kind of like messed up. It's like 5 million every teleport, and he's like, yep, teleport me again, teleport me again. That was funny, but also kind of made me go, do you care about the people? But it ends with him and this kind of evil high schooler we'd interacted with earlier, who had kind of turned one of Mark's friends into kind of this cyborg and had ripped him apart and tortured him and made him into a RoboCop almost. And we end with Cecile, I think that's how you say his name, with him, and they've made an army of these RoboCops out of corpses. So one, where did those people come from? Who have you been kidnapping? Are you still kidnapping homeless people? But yeah, that's so crazy. So we're gonna have an army of RoboCops in the next one, and Mark's gonna have to fight them. And are we gonna have a confrontation with Mark and Cecile? Is Cecile corrupt himself, or is like the whole government corrupt? Like, I'm very interested. I'm very interested to see where that is going, because I think it'd be more interesting if that whole government structure was corrupted. It'd be more realistic, rather than just Cecile doing all these evil things. But yeah, that was very kind of like a, and I can't believe it ended like that. I was kind of like, oh yes, I'm finally near the end. Wait, don't end. So I'm very excited. I've got to wait till the 11th on my birthday to read the other ones. So that's annoying. I've got 11 days to wait because it's the 1st of August today. But yeah, I really enjoyed it so much. It was so good. But that, yeah, Cecile, whatever your freaking name is, I hate you. Have I got anything else to say? I'm trying to think. My instances when I was talking about in the non-spoilery section of things repeating themselves, I can elaborate there. Specifically, I was thinking of Omni-Man's kind of revelation. Because it tells one story that he told to Mark of like, oh, where the Viltrumites are trying to help people, and then they tell it all over again, but within the different angle of like, Viltrumites want to conquer everything. And I was like, okay, you could have summed this up. We didn't need to be told the entire story again. That felt very repetitive. And also there were some interactions with Amber specifically where she kind of cheated on Mark a little bit, and that whole section with the boy, I was like, I'm not reading that page, I can't be bothered. Okay, I read the last bubble, you cheating on him. Okay, fair enough. Skip. But there was some very unnecessary dialogue. And oftentimes if it was just two characters, like Amber specifically, like I don't mind her as a character, but when she was just talking to her friend, I was like, I don't care. I literally don't care. I know it's kind of building up your relationship with Mark and how you feel inferior to him because he has to constantly ditch you and you don't feel like that's fair, which is also really cool. I really like that kind of, it's kind of similar to the Gwen Stacy and Spider-Man debacle of like, you're a superhero, I get that, I love you, but I can't do this kind of you running off every 5 minutes situation. And I kind of already understood that characterization, so I was like, I didn't feel like I needed to read her talking to her best friend, so I kind of skipped that page every now and then whenever she did it. And I was like, I don't care. But yeah, overall, I really enjoyed this series. I really enjoyed this. My favourite character was probably Mark. I don't know, it's kind of an obvious choice, but I really like Mark. I really like Omni-Man. Oh my god, what was the alien called? There's a one-eyed alien, whatever he's called, the orange alien. I really enjoyed him as well, and I like when he came back and him and Mark were talking in the dorm room, and Mark's friend, who I've forgotten the name of right now, walks in and is like, oh my god, alien! I thought that was brilliant. And the alien has gone to this Viltrumite prison, max security prison, to go help Omni-Man escape. I assume he's going to help Omni-Man escape, because like basically the whole threat is the Viltrumites are going to invade Earth. And they need these rogue Viltrums to help them defeat the Viltrumites because they're basically invincible. But yeah, I'm excited to see that. But yeah, I keep prolonging this video. But yeah, that is Invincible. I can't wait to get onto Compendium 2. I'll definitely do another video reviewing that. But yeah, thanks for watching. If you got this far, let me know all your comments down below. If you are going to say any massive spoilers, I would kind of hope that you would maybe do the thing where you write a little bit and then you space down enough so that if someone clicks on your comment, they can read more. I feel like that'd be a very considerate thing to do. Obviously, I can't control that. So if you want to spoil things in the comments, I guess that's your free will. But I would ask that you would kind of respect other people that maybe are just watching the non-spoilery section, and you kind of put enough spaces. You just press the space button a few times and it'll say read more and it'll hide you spoiled. It's like, hey, spoilery thought, space down. Anyway, I can't really control, but I just wanted to kind of add that just because some other videos people have spoiled things in the comments. But yeah, leave a like, comment and subscribe. Let me know all your thoughts down in the comments below. I'd love to talk about this series. It was so fun. Let me know maybe, have you read The Walking Dead as well by Robert Kirkman? I'd love to talk about The Walking Dead. But yeah, I'm going to stop prolonging this video. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Bye!